Welcome to the Rad Dad Redemption Podcast. Here's your hosts, Drew and Dex.
Get my mic all adjusted here, back in the basement.
We're live?
We're live, episode 14. I hit the button. I didn't announce it. I just hit it for myself, and I figured you'd catch up.
Yeah, or not. That would have been kind of a cool experiment to just see how long we could talk and if anything was worth listening to.
Just like talking shit about our wives for like a whole hour, and then you're like, when are you going to hit record? I'm like, I already did, bud.
Oh, yeah. You know who I hate? This guy sucks. Welcome back. You know what? It's great to be back after our election special, which admittedly, you know, it was good to get that episode out, and we had to. We wanted to. But definitely in listening back to it, and not to be like self-deprecating or over-analytical of our stuff, but I did have a moment where I was like, stick to your fucking lane.
We are not political experts. And also, like, part of it was, I think our podcast, we're not here to like push people away, right? And,
yeah.
And politics can really do that. And I am appreciative that everybody has different opinions and stuff like that. And so I feel like we're also playing it a little safe in some points. Right, where it's like,
there was stuff we maybe would have said, and we're like, no, we can't come out as blue or orange.
Yeah, basically we were trying to play it like very middle of the road, and it just kind of came off as like two people talking about politics that like don't really know a whole lot.
Don't engage in politics at all.
Don't have very strong opinions.
It had its moments. I think we're right back on track. I'm really excited about all the stuff we have going on for today's epi. We got buttloads to talk about.
Yeah. We got a lot of stuff to talk about today.
And it's we're like Saturday afternoon. We've had success with the morning show. We've had some success with like the late night exhausted show. And so now we're coming to you from a place of like weekend prime time.
We're going to split the difference.
We're going to split the difference. And I think it's going to work out for us.
Yeah. I'm feeling good.
I got big news.
Yeah. Share.
Go ahead.
Do share.
All right. So a listener sent us a gift.
Man, this is why I did a podcast, is to get free shit.
Yeah. Take a moment. If you're listening now, yeah, do it.
Please send us something.
Send us free stuff. You know, like I'm like a hot gamer girl. I need a new hoodie, you know.
I'll send you a jar of bath water.
Yeah. Tell you what, guys, you send us a couple gifts, unsolicited, you know, just if you feel like it, and we will send you our bath water. But here, hold on. Don't just think.
Actually, no. Here's the better offer.
Okay.
If you send us gifts, we won't send you bathwater. We're just gonna start mailing out bathwater like the fucking Unabomber.
If you don't give us shit, you're getting. And picture this: it's not like Dex Baths collects water, Drew Baths collects water. We're bathing together, like after a long bike ride with the chariot on the back, and we're just sweating. Just the old dad sweat dual bath.
We're gonna go walk around of 18 out in the smoky haze.
Oh yeah,
come back and have a dual bath. Yeah.
So if you get a bath bomb literal in your mail, it's because you didn't send us enough free stuff. But one listener did, and I am so excited. And when I say sent in, actually hand delivered it to me. So thank you so much, Dom. What I have in my hand right now, and this fits. This is peak Baja lifestyle, imported from the United States. We've got hard Mountain Dew. Alcoholic Baja Blast from the source.
This is incredible. It fits so much with our show, and it is a Saturday afternoon, like perfect drink for this show.
This is the sponsorship we need. Alcoholic Mountain Dew.
Oh yeah.
What if Dr. Dew crushed like that? We need to actually maybe take a pic of this and send it to him. And be like, you guys want to know something? You should fill Das Boot with this fucking hard Mountain Dew.
just immediately vomit from the alcohol.
Dr. Dew after dark. He's just loaded.
Do you follow Johnny Drinks on Instagram?
No.
Okay.
Not yet, I should say.
It's like a son and his dad, and his dad's a total bro. Like, he is the dad that we all strive to be, where he reviews drinks and he makes drinks and like really nice cocktails, but they've grown really big, and companies will send them like special packs when they launch a new drink. And this is very serendipitous because earlier this week I saw they got like the Mountain Dew alcoholic, party pack. But it was like a commemorative box. They opened it up and there's one can of each flavor, very nicely presented. He gave it a bad review though.
Oh,
so
what?
I'm interested to try it. He can be hard on some flavors. Like, he's clearly got his own personal biases. But I was like, man, that was a flop for the Mountain Dew marketing team, because he was just like thumbs down.
He's gonna love this. It tastes like shit.
So Mountain Dew marketing team, redeem yourselves. We don't have a fraction the following of Johnny Drinks, but
How many people sent you the Gerber baby food Baja Blast flavor?
A lot of people.
I got like 10 from different people. Like, you got to get on this. We're like, oh yeah, we definitely like we put that out there.
We've got a thing. Anyway, okay, I'm looking at this can.
Okay, all right. I'm gonna try and get this.
I can see the audio peak right there. That's gonna listen so well.
Can you see the peak in my shorts? Like I need an excuse to drink on a Saturday.
Yeah, no, I told you I'm making a brisket and I was up early checking on it. And I had an Old Milwaukee at about 9:30 this morning. Just like the cheapest, shittiest beer.
You're like, I have to.
Oh, yeah. I was like, wow, might as well crack one, whatever, I'm up.
For you, sir.
Thank you very much.
On ice, rocks glass, the Gibraltar.
This is classy.
This is so classy. We'll have to post a pic of this maybe. Maybe, I don't know.
We'll probably drink it before we get a chance to.
Yeah, 100%. We do a little clinky.
Clink.
All right.
And drink.
Review.
I like it.
It's good.
It's just Baja Blast with like a little hint of like some vodka in there or something.
Yeah, hold on to your huge dong. It's sugar free.
I know. I saw that actually on the side of the can. Sugar free, contains alcohol. I was like, those are the two boxes I need to check.
Yeah, I think that's an interesting play though on Mountain Dew's behalf, because I think like the typical Baja Blast drinker is like you're washing down 7 cheesy gorditas. You know, like why the sugar free angle?
I think maybe because it's an alcoholic drink, and like if you go buy a Baja Blast at Circle K, you're gonna drink, the bottle, but you're not like, I think I want to have a good night tonight. I'm gonna have 6 of these, right? Whereas like if you're going out to buy, a seltzer, beer, whatever, you're probably gonna have a few. And so if they're slanging 360 calorie Baja Blasts with alcohol, like I think people will just mentally limit themselves. That's why seltzers have become so popular lately.
I agree with that. Actually, you know what? Like the Twisted Tea thing, the Hey Y'alls, like you drink enough of those, you get up and you're like, I'm hungover because they're so easy to crush. But I also have type 2 diabetes. Like I'm really doing bad things to my body.
I don't know if I'm hungover or experiencing diabetic ketosis, but yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go 7.5 Manti Te'os out of 10.
Call back to episode 1. Honestly, I'd give it an 8.5 out of 10.
Manti Te'os?
8.5 Manti Te'os out of 10 Johnny Manziel's.
Ooh, wow, that rating scale is dialed.
That's for all the NFL fans out there. But yeah, no, I like it. I'd buy I wish they would launch them in Canada.
Yeah, Mountain Dew, if you're listening, just kidding. We know you're listening. One, fucking sponsor us already, you pieces of garbage. And 2, get these up here in Canada. You don't think we're drinking Baja Blast? This is the Baja.
We are living the Baja lifestyle.
Yeah, so let's get that locked down. Send us a case. We'll give you a good review. We'll give you lots of Mantis. All right, play that sexy little mailbag jingle.
All right.
Mailbag time, motherfucker.
So we finally
this is a big episode. We got gifts and we got a mailbag.
I'm feeling good. I'm actually feeling like a legitimate podcaster at this moment. Someone bought us something. People wrote into our show. It's a good feeling.
Yeah.
It also gives us something to talk about. We don't have to do an election special because we've got like actual things to discuss. This is a big email, and it's definitely poses some questions for us, especially when I find it.
Yeah, you've been on your phone for 2 minutes. What do you?
I'm definitely old guy on this phone too. It's not like a where's the email thing. It's like how's my phone work kind of thing. Do you have that? Do you suck at stuff now?
I find not so much that. I've always considered myself to be pretty like tech savvy and stuff like that. But I will open up my phone to do things, and immediately like it's like idle hands are the devil's playthings, and I'll be on Instagram and I'll be, what the fuck was I actually trying to do?
You lost yourself.
I was like trying to sign up for like a course or something. I'm like 2 hours later, just deep into the reels.
If it's like trying to get my GameCube to work on like an HDMI TV or like do something like that, I'm Rain Man. But yeah, just like trying to open an app, trying to like do online banking. My God. Okay. So this one comes from a Schmenjamin Schmilly, my dude. What up, rad dads? Exclamation point. First time emailer, but I've been listening since day one.
Love it.
And yes, brothers do listen to every part of every episode, Drew. Despite you thinking we don't, well, non-biological brothers do. I have 2 questions I need your knowledge and expertise on. First question. Are you ready?
Ready.
If you want to attend the Rad Dad live event on July 22nd at Big Beaver Brewing, free ad promotion, but you're also supposed to be a groomsman and the officiant at your best friend's wedding on the very same day, how do you decide which is the right event to attend?
That's a tough one because it sounds like he's made a pretty big commitment there. I would go to the person getting married and see if you can maybe combine the two. Let's marry them on stage at the Rad Dad event.
That's a fantastic solution.
Right? Everybody's happy.
We can chuck that on the poster. We got live music. We got charity. We're doing this for the food bank, and we're also going to get some people betrothed.
Yeah.
You know, or the betrothed is like pre-marriage. We're going to get them married, and they're going to bang.
On stage.
On stage. It's a live sex show.
Yeah, it's like when you go to the Netherlands. Yeah.
No lewd content.
Yeah, no, that would be that's taking on a very like cult vibe. Like that's taking on like a very Waco vibe. We're gonna start marrying off audience members to like the leaders.
How do you think people would react? Like our next act is just a full-blown ceremony. Come on up.
I mean,
people would be so stoked.
I know. Like honestly, probably more supportive than your family, if we're being honest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think that's you nailed that one. You friggin' crushed it from the 55. Bring them all down to the Rad Dad live event. Do it at the same time.
Yeah.
So see you there. Question 2, as an expectant. Oh, I love this question. As an expectant first-time father coming this November, congratulations.
Congrats.
Congratulations to me as the uncle.
Oh, congrats to you as well.
Yeah. That he wrote that. I'm not just like being like, I'm also fucking important. That's it.
I thought you were inserting yourself into the email. Okay.
That's in there. Congratulations, Uncle Drew. If you could go back and give yourselves one piece of advice during your wife's pregnancy and one piece of advice for your first month or so as a father, what would that advice be? That's a real question.
That's a very good question for a couple of rad dads.
Yeah, I'll dive in. And I'll go real. Not this fake character I play. So like while the wife's pregnant, you know, like I got a lot of dudes who are like, yeah, I got a DD and like this is my time to like fucking rage. Like I'm gonna party because my wife can't drink, so I'm gonna pick up her slack. And I did that with Lindy. That is kind of like how that ended up going. But with Marin, I like went full sober guy, and it just allowed me to like really engage in the process of like, I'm gonna be a dad. I'm gonna like put the room together. I remember we like did the crib up. I painted like a mural on the wall. I got in good shape, and I think, and I very much mean this, like having a kid, going from no kids to kids is such a big transition.
Oh yeah.
It's huge. You have no fucking idea what your life is going to be like. Okay. So, you know, especially down the stretch, like take the first 6 months even and do your thing, enjoy it. Your wife's still feeling good in term 2 as well. Like they'll come out and they'll do things, but like as the baby like starts to drop, term 3, it's like happening. It's like, I would say settle your shit down.
Yeah. I think that's probably pretty good advice. Like, they're not feeling great. Like their joints are hurting, their back is hurting, their body has changed so much. And like my advice to add to that, I would agree with all of that. Also just maybe sometimes just stay the fuck out of their way. Cause like, you know,
just fucking look out, man.
Yeah. No,
keep your head up.
It's not an awesome position to be in. Like people are like, oh, the beauties of pregnancy and childbirth. And it's like, it's actually a horrible experience when you really get down to it. Like at the end of the day, you get a kid and like, and you're so happy about that and you love them more than anything. And you immediately forget about all the hardship for the previous 9 months. But especially, yeah, like you said, those last few months, very hard on her. And it's like, sometimes she just needs to like lay there and have a nap and doesn't want to hear any of your shit or like do anything for you. And that's fine. And
even if she's giving you the green light, like, no, it's okay, honey. Like they remember.
They're keeping score.
Yeah, they're keeping score. The other part of that question was the first month. And again, I'm going to keep it real. If someone would have told me before Marin, they're like, just so you know, you're never going to sleep more than 3 hours. And even with breastfeeding, even with like the mom doing the bulk of the work, as is the case in our situation, they're still up. You know, your baby's still making noise. And especially with your first kid, when you like put them to sleep and you're like just so new to it, and you're like, are they breathing? Like, are they okay? Like, you're getting up. You're like, you're never getting like REM deep cycle sleep, and it just goes on forever, for weeks. It's crazy. It's such an adjustment. And then you just like, you go through it, you do it, it's insane. And then I think like everyone post children just sleeps less. Like, I forever was like a 9 a.m., 10 a.m. sleep as long as I can, you know, passed out as long as I can. Like, I rarely am in bed past 6 o'clock, just out of necessity.
Yeah.
So I would say first month is guard your sleep. Like, take those opportunities, lay low. Everyone wants to come and see your kid. Your family wants to be involved. Your friends want to be involved. And of course, do that. You got to be open to it. Spread the love. But like, lay low. Get used to it.
Take it easy.
Take it easy.
I will go the more wholesome angle. And actually, somebody did give me this advice before Kennedy was born. And I heard it, but I don't know if I truly took it to heart. And it's very hard to take it to heart once you're kind of like in the trenches of it. But they said, and you know, he was a former coworker of mine, a little bit older, so his kids were in their early teens. He was like, just like soak it all in, like just enjoy every moment, because it goes by so fucking fast. And now that I'm 2 kids deep, I got one that's going into kindergarten in September. I don't know how the fuck that happened.
Yeah.
Like, when did that happen? I'm not like, to me, she was born yesterday. But I've also had a kid who's like turning 1 next month, and that's flown by. And it's just, you can't believe how fast it goes by. Like, sometimes it's like there's those long nights and you feel like you're so tired and it's dragging on, and then you'll blink and they're going into kindergarten. So it's just like, just savor it. Just enjoy every moment and just be in the moment and
be present.
Just be present. And
it's a gift.
Yeah, it's hard sometimes, for sure, but yeah, just enjoy it.
Oh, this kid just shit all over me. I love this. We're at the park today, and I was holding Lindy, and I was like, Meg, it's your turn. I want to go play with Marin on the play structure, which is my thing. I'm jungle gym crazy. And then I like handed her to Megan. She's like, oh, nice. And I was like, what are you talking about? And it's just like shit stain all like all up the back. And I'm like, you'll remember this time. Be present.
You'll cherish this.
And then I guess we're still on the email. Great questions.
It was a great email.
Yeah, fantastic. Well, one of my favorites all time. Love the show. Have shamelessly tried to force it on friends, students, and family. The ones who actually tried it out have become fans themselves. What up, doe, Pepe? Is it Pepe? I'm going to go with Pepe.
I'm going to go with Pepe.
It's a P-E-P-E.
Yeah, it's Pepe.
Pepe. What up, Pepe? Thanks for listening, man. You're the dude. Keep giving the people what they want. A highlight of my week is listening to you guys on my drive home. Aw, sincerely, your number one fan. And the last time someone said they were our number one fan, they rickrolled us. So I'm going to give it to this guy. This is like our actual number one fan. Insert whatever nickname you come up with to hide my identity. Schmenjamin Schmilling. I've been really mailing it in on the fake names.
Just an SH in front of everything.
Yeah.
Like take out the first consonant.
I thought I had a little bit of a bit there, and then I kind of just fucking told everyone.
Also, there was enough revealing information in there that somebody would, like, in 2 seconds of internet.
My brother-in-law? Uncle Drew. Here's his address, 123 Fake Street, 69 Ave. P.S. Did you choose Hulk Hogan uppers? Oh, I forgot about this. I forgot the outro.
The outro from last
P.S.
episode.
Did you choose Hulk Hogan's upper bodies with wife's lower body, or wife's upper body and Hulk Hogan lower body?
Okay, so I feel like there's some backstory here. We got to go where that came from. We were at our boy Tom's parents' cabin.
Brooks.
In Brooks.
Shout out Meat Plant.
And we were sitting there, and Tom's like, I got a question for all you guys. And he said, would you rather have sex with Hulk Hogan's upper body and your wife's lower body, or your wife's upper body and Hulk Hogan's lower body? And it became this big debate, and it was such, like, we were joking around about it all weekend. Every time, like, there's a moment of silence, like just a break in the conversation, we would be like, all right, so let's go back to the question. So I used it as our outro for the last episode. I got my wife to record that. And side note, when she was recording it, there was so many bloopers, because she's like, tune in for the next episode when we ask if you would rather, and then she's like, what the fuck? And so she like just records it, and she'll record like a whole chunk.
Do people know it's your wife that does? It was our anonymous lady. Did you just like news drop that?
Oh yeah, I just doxed my wife, I guess. Yeah. My wife does all the voicing and all the intros and outros.
She's our wonderful voice actress. Yeah.
I mean, she went to broadcast school with me. That's how we met.
She's fantastic. We asked her, and we are like, you should do this. She's like, no. And we're like, no, seriously, you've got the voice. You sound great. The best part of our show.
We were going to hire somebody off Fiverr, and I was like, why?
Yeah.
When like literally my wife is a former like professional broadcaster.
So what, once you got through it,
we got through it.
What did you choose?
Here's the thing is I was like, I think I'm going wife's upper, Hulk Hogan's lower. And let me explain.
Yeah.
My thought process is like a butt's a butt, right?
Hell yeah.
But an upper body, like
buddy.
you're looking at, you know, their upper body, the feminine features. I thought about myself in both positions, and I didn't like the idea of having sex with a woman, but like Hulk Hogan's just like laid back there staring up at me, rippling muscles, big old mustache, like, oh yeah, brother, like,
Give it to me, brother.
and I didn't like that. I did not like that, right?
This is where the conversation goes, because there's so much nuance. It's like, well, do I have to look? And it's like, yeah, you have to, like, you gotta like take it all in. Like, it's an experience.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's foreplay. There's dinner first. Okay, there's a whole thing. I agree with you.
If there's kissing involved, I think you definitely want your
Go
wife's
Hulk
upper
Hogan's
body.
upper. What? No, my wife, upper body. I thought the same thing. I thought upper body, but for a little like the reason. I agree with your rationale, but I was also like the Hulk Hogan leg drop. Like, I want to get my hands on those things. Like, he's got these absolute beefers, like the definition. I've seen that guy's legs in a Speedo like my whole life. And like, I get to do that live.
Those are iconic legs.
I also, cats out of the bag. Like, I watched his video. You know, the one.
I know the one that basically got Gawker shut down forever.
Yeah, I watched the Gawk vid, and you know, he's like us. You know, well, maybe not you. He's like me. He's not packing. You know, it's not like I gotta like move his elephant schlong to get access. You know, and that's not even a problem for me. But I think I'd be enthralled to just like check it out. It'd be all right.
You know what? No hating, no matter what you choose.
Yeah, hell yeah.
You know what?
We're a progressive show. We're progressive people.
We're a very progressive show. So whatever you choose, I'm cool with it. I made my argument. Everybody's got their preferences.
And that's our show.
There's the end of the show, everybody.
Just kidding. We actually, we got so much to talk about. So if you follow us on Instagram, which you should, we recently posted Dex's first ever stand-up routine or a snippet, a couple snippets from the Laugh Shop the other night. And we had talked about how this was upcoming, and it was something that needed to happen to kind of prepare us for our own charity event on the 22nd. And I think we also talked about how there was like a split opinion on the matter.
There was some doubts.
There was some doubt. There was a doubter.
Yeah. Honestly, I was doubting myself a little bit just because of like, again, we talked about it in the last episode or maybe the one before that. Just kind of the magnitude of the event. Like, it was not open mic at a tiny little bar.
Yeah, open for Andy Haynes.
Opening for Andy Haynes, who's an incredible comedian, so funny. You know, when I met him, he has this aura. He's just a naturally funny dude. Like, he sat down and I was like, this guy's obviously a comedian. Like, he's so funny. And so it was people paid money to go see him, and I'm opening with, 3 other amateur comedians.
And so Dex gets on stage, and it was transcendent. Honestly, it was so funny. Like, driving in, and the whole drive in, we're not like, we're not listening to jock jams, like getting like hyped up. You're gonna do this. We were like talking about. I think I talked with my dad about fishing.
Yeah, there's some fishing talk,
and then they were like, "Hey Dex, could you review our portfolio?"
Yeah,
and we're like doing like talking about finances,
talking work. Yeah.
Just get in there, and you're like, "All right, I'm going back to the green room. I'll check you later." So when Dex comes out, we're like, "All right, like." Okay, and the other thing was that you had kind of like turfed a bit of what you thought you were gonna say. It was like an 11:30 the night before. Like, I'm gonna go in a different direction.
Yeah.
So I had no idea. And
I guess, do we want to do like a breakdown of events?
Yeah. Well, I want to finish that thought. You did so good. You did so good.
Appreciate that.
It was crazy, and I want to point people to our Instagram to go check it out, because we were honestly floored. I was one that was like, you're gonna do well, and our dude that was like, this is gonna be a disaster, like in the show, was like feet in mouth, was like, I can't believe like Dex P's confidence. Like, you got out there, and like the proof is in the pudding. If you go and watch these clips, you'll hear Dex do his thing, and his jokes are great. But what you will also hear is like people laughing, like a room packed.
It was a packed room. There was not many empty tables.
A packed room at a reputable comedy shop, and Dex is getting the crowd going. So that was so awesome. That was really cool.
Thank you.
But yeah, let's break it down.
And I guess I will say this before I forget, but like, just the amount of support that I had from people was huge. So like, you shooting it for me, like, that was huge to see myself, and like, we got to share those clips, so I really appreciate that. Cheers, buddy.
Yeah,
cheers to the Baja Blast
lifestyle, buddy.
You know, your parents came out, they rode with us, and they supported me. You know, we had our friends Dan and Krista come out, and they did not tell me that they were coming out. I didn't know he was there until he texted me after I got off, and he was like, great job, you know. And like, so they came out to support me. Geese, and he brought Kyle, our dude, with him, and they came out, and they were, so I had like a good crew of people. And then when we posted the clips, people are just very complimentary. So thank you everybody who watched it and like reached out, and like, yeah, very supportive, very heartfelt. But here's a breakdown of how everything kind of went down, because you know, there was some nerves a little bit, and I had a bit, and I sat down with you, and I kind of went through it basically a week ago. We sat down on Sunday morning, and I was feeling pretty confident about the bit, but I was like, I'm having trouble. Like, I've only got 5 minutes up there. Like, how do I kind of jump into this bit? And the night before, I'm kind of planning out, and I'm still having trouble. Like, how am I going to jump into this bit? So I ended up going back to an old bit that I had written, because I've always wanted to try stand-up comedy, and I had bits written. I went back to an old bit. I was like, I'm going to expand this out, and I think it will lead nicely into, you know, this actual bit that I wanted to do. And I just ended up writing. This is literally 11:30 the night before. I just ended up writing, and I timed it out, and I was like, oh, that's going to be pretty close to my full 5 minutes. I might not even get to the other bit that I wrote, but I liked this bit better because it wasn't one long concept. It was like 3 different concepts broken up within kind of like a larger umbrella, right? And I also felt like it was easier to jump into.
Which again is ballsy, because like 11:30 the night before, you know, like, it has no time to marinate. I don't know how many times I write jokes, and I do. Like, I've adopted your system where like I'll have thoughts. I'll have a thought in the car, and I'm like, oh, like, get that down, write that down.
Yeah.
And then I'll live with it for a bit. I'm like, it's either not funny or it's undeliverable. Like, I won't get there. So to be like 11:30, like, no, this is it. I've got it. Stones, nuts of steel.
Yeah, I guess. And you know, so the next day I sleep on it, and the next day I'm not really nervous, and it was a busy day, which was probably in hindsight a good thing, because if it hadn't been a busy day, I would have sat there and I would have read it over and over and over again, and I would have second guessed myself. I probably would have changed it 100 times, but I had to take Kennedy to the dentist, I had to work, and then I picked you guys up, and we drove in, right? And when I genuinely was not that nervous. We got to the green room. I sat down. I kind of opened up my phone. I read it through one more time. I was like, okay, I'm feeling good. Met the other comics, and we're kind of sitting there. You could tell everybody back there is kind of nervous. There's one other guy. It was his first time up there. There was a couple other guys.
There's some shaky characters, man.
Yeah, there's a couple other guys that, you know, they had done it a few times, but they were newbies. And then, of course, there was Andy Haynes, and then the guy that came on before him was the guy that travels with him and always opens for him. And so they walked in, and it was like, you know, it was kind of like very surreal, because Andy Haynes walks in and he introduces himself to me. I was like, I know who you fucking are. You're the headliner of the show. Like, but he's super nice guy.
Andy.
Super nice guy. And sits down right beside me. And if I'm being honest, I got a little lump in my throat at that point, because I was like, this is fucking real.
Yeah.
Like, and he's, like I said, he's super funny, just naturally funny. So he sits down and he kind of like looks around the green room at all of us sitting there. We're all just a bunch of white dudes. He's like, we got to get more white dudes on the show, I think. Like, and so it kind of cut the tension a little bit for me anyway. He was just, everything he said was funny. He just a naturally funny guy, like I said. And then I was up third. So first guy goes out. He was pretty good. He got some good laughs. He had one joke that like killed me. It was just this misdirection joke where he was reading the list of things he's good at.
Hold on, you got it. I don't want to interject, but I have a different recollection of when you knew you were going to kill it. Because, what were they serving? What were they serving in the green room?
So they had free beer back there, which was actually pretty cool for like just first time comedians or like amateur comedians. They had free beer back there from Red Truck Brewing. And I just grabbed one glass bottle that was sticking out of the bucket. I couldn't really see it, but I didn't want to go digging through this. I was like kind of already nervous.
It was a random grab?
Oh, it was just like there's a glass bottle and there's some cans around it. And I just like, I didn't want to like dig through the ice and be like, oh, what do I want to drink? I was like, I'll just take this fucking glass bottle. I could tell it was a light beer, right? So I pull it out, I look at it, and it's like Baja Light, and it's got like an old Subaru Baja on it. And I was like, that's a sign
from God.
I was like, that's a sign.
Speaking of which, this is not Baja. We're done with the Baja. I'm just
cracking another
now
bevy.
Engaging in my Saturday lifestyle. So anyway, buddy's up there, and he's got the misdirection
He's
joke.
got the misdirection, which made me laugh really hard. Like, it was kind of a slow building joke. And I was like, well, I wonder where this is going. And then he hit with the punchline, and I had a good laugh. And I was like, okay, like, and crowd's laughing. The host got him warmed up and stuff like that. And then the second guy goes out, and it was his first time out, so I'm up right after him. And I don't want to be mean or anything, but he bombed.
Not only did he bomb, I had to like, and again, because this could have been us. We could have been doing a very different show today.
Yeah.
We could have been like, we're actually just going to stick to the basement. We don't go out in public. The royal we. But he was like the guy that like, he's an uncle. He's an uncle who thinks he's funny. And like someone told him it was a good idea. And he showed up by himself. And like, I don't even know what his set was about. He was talking about like being at a wedding and like.
It was one of those people that I could see being very funny if you're at a backyard barbecue. He's got some good jokes.
Yeah,
and
if you work landscaping
around.
If you work landscaping for the town, he's the like old funny guy on the crew.
Yeah, like that's the vibe. And he was a super nice guy in the back. Like, so I'm not hating on him or anything. And it takes a lot of guts to go up there and tell jokes to a room of that size.
100%. Good for him.
But he's out there and he's not getting a lot of laughs, right? And the host kind of looks at me and he's like, is it also your first time doing comedy? And I was like, yes. And I'm like sitting there, like finishing the last of my beer. And that's when I genuinely started to feel nervous, just because I was like, that could be me next.
Yeah.
Right. And I could see it because there's a TV in the back. So, obviously we can hear through the sound. And then there's a TV and I can just see like it's pretty dead out there.
He was taking some pretty long sips of his drink. I remember that. I remember that being like, calm down, Larry.
Yeah. And so he's like, I'm going to go out and do a couple more minutes and try and warm the crowd back up. Just like.
Which is big of him because he wasn't that funny, the host. We're just throwing shade. Anyway, you go on. But I was like, this guy stole a ton of jokes. That was my take on it.
Yeah, we'll talk about that off air. But anyway, so he goes out, he does a couple minutes, and then he calls me out. And I'm like, I guess, like, here we go. And again, after watching this guy bomb, I'm like, I need to get a laugh, like, immediately. And so what I did is, we saw your brother when I was picking you guys up.
Yes. Oh, yes.
We've got the window rolled down, and Tash is there, super supportive, super nice. Tash has always got a bubbly personality, right? And then Joe hits me with, like, we're just about to pull away. Everybody's in the vehicle, and he's like, break a leg, fatty.
I had to do a double take.
And I was like, that's not what I needed.
Break a leg, fatty. Oh, my God.
Like, I have to go on stage in front of, like dozens of people.
But it was a gift in the end.
It was a gift. So when I walked out there, I was like, I need a laugh. And self-deprecating is like a great way to get a laugh, right? And so I walk out and everybody was very nice. They're clapping and I could hear some of you guys cheering when I came out. And I'm just like, well, thank you for the very warm welcome. It's a little better. I saw a friend before I came out here, and his parting advice to me was break a leg, you fat fucking idiot. And it killed. Like, everybody burst out laughing. And that was a combination of what he said to me and what our buddy Sean said to me years ago in Montana at the border crossing.
We had to give them our license plate, and it was like everyone was hungover. We're like coming back from Vegas, and like that was an era where we were like not dads. And we were doing our thing. So we're all hungover trying to do some duty free shopping, and we're like literally checking out, and the lady's like, and what's your license plate number? And so we're like, well, I don't know. And I think you like very nicely were like, hey Sean, could you go grab a
No. What it was we all did the nose game where you touch your nose and I don't think Sean caught onto it as quick as the rest of us.
So he lost.
He's standing there looking at all of us touching our noses to go back out 14 meters to look at the like it was not that far. But he just wasn't having it. And to be fair, like he had to share a room with me that whole weekend, and I was a bag of shit that last day.
He was over Dex.
Yeah, he was done with me.
He didn't even swear. He said like, oh, like no Dex, you fat idiot.
Yeah.
But like he didn't say it funny. Like he said it mean.
Very mean.
Like he was staring into your soul. I died. I remember dying laughing. That
I remember all of us laughing, and he was so mad. Anyway, so that it was kind of the combination of those two things, and it was sort of something that I was like, I don't want to say off the cuff, but it really, I guess, to go back to where I started all of this, it really was how I just started the show. I was worried about that, and just very serendipitously, like that kind of came to me, and it just started everything off right, and I immediately felt very comfortable after I got some laughs.
Yeah, and you just took off after that. Absolutely.
So thank you, Joe. I know you were trying to hurt my feelings a little bit, but turns out I used it for inspiration to further myself. I will also still try and lose some weight, though. Thank you for that.
Yeah, fuck you. I was like, we're gonna get him. We're gonna have like a whole segment next show of just like that's how we're closing out today is like Joe jokes. We're gonna get him.
I don't even know how to make fun of Joe because he's like just a good-looking, like funny, nice guy. I'm like, I don't even. You're his brother. Maybe you got more stuff on him than I do.
Not really, you know. Were you in? Did you come to Seattle with us on the Man Van trip?
No, I think that's when I lived in Fort Mac. I wasn't doing a lot of traveling.
Oh man, that whole weekend, like I wasn't my best self. I was a needy person as a young adult. I always wanted my friends around me, and I had like certain expectations of them. So like if you weren't hanging out with me on my terms, it kind of like upset me, you know. And I've grown personally. I'd like to think I don't do that anymore. But it was always coming from a good place. I wanted people like around and hanging, and so I was putting the pressure on the group. And I think my brother just kind of had enough. And at that point in time in my life, similar to now, I was big, I was heavy. And so it just became this thing. We'd like be at a restaurant and be like, where do you want to go? And my brother would be like, oh, I saw a place back there. They have pints of ice cream. Like, you probably want to go. You know, I'm just like I'm just like, what? Why? Why? Like, yeah, it's like just like 11 a.m. and I'm just like dying to go eat a full fucking pint of ice cream. And it was just like every time it like start raining and everyone's like, oh, we don't have coats. And Joe's be like, well, Drew could just wear 3 garbage bags. And I'm like, what? Like, yeah. And you can't say anything to him. He's a fucking, CrossFit wad. He's very shredded, very good looking, and a very funny guy.
He's a funny guy, and he's fun to be around with. And so it's like, how do I take him out? And that was like,
how do I take him out? We'll get him
one day. Yeah. One day I'll just leg sweep him with something. I don't know. But anyway, it did work out for the better. And then it was really fun just to come out and like sit with you guys, watch the couple people go on after me. And then Andy Haynes, of course, who was so fucking funny. And like, obviously I'm very proud of how I did, and I've gotten a lot of compliments. But then, you see Andy Haynes up there and you're like, well, there's a professional touring comedian. Like, he was excellent. And if you have the opportunity to go see him, take that opportunity. He's super funny. His crowd work was really good. Like, there was some drunk people yelling fucking wild shit, and like it did not faze him one bit. It just made his show better. Yeah,
he comes with my algorithm all the time now, talking about him, and he's definitely a good follow. And it also kind of like illuminates. It's like, yeah, Dex went up and killed it, but like the reality is like there's work to do. Like there's like the crowd work, and that was one of the things about the show that was interesting. It was good, but they're very much when the host of the show comes out and gets everything going, he's like, these are first time comedians. Some of these guys literally are going to come up here and wet their pants. They've never done it before. So they tell you, like, don't heckle.
Please do not heckle these people who are putting themselves up there for the first time.
Don't be those people. Like, give them a shot. So it was a good environment too.
Yeah.
But then when Andy comes out, they're like, all bets are off. Do what you want. And it was like, I dare you to say something to him. He'll crush you.
He got some people pretty fucking good.
Yeah.
and the problem is, like, of course, now it's like, show starts at 8. He's going on at, just before 9, I guess. So people have been like drinking pretty good for an hour, maybe more than an hour if they got there early.
Oh, I was polluted.
Right? And the guy behind us, I think, was on one, and he said some weird shit. And then there's the Freedom Convoy lady in the front row.
I can't believe she thought she was going to get a cheer. She stood up. Like, while Andy Haynes is doing his set, and she, like, stood up. And, like, she was Hulk Hogan in that moment, like, turned around at the crowd and was like, freedom! Or I guess not Hulk Hogan, she was Mel Gibson.
She went full Braveheart.
She went full Braveheart. And then it was silent. People were, like audible groans, like, oh, my God. And, like, cool.
I think the setup for that, he was like, he's like, I love coming to Calgary. It's the Canadian city I come to the most. And he's like, last time I was here, though, somebody almost, like, got on stage and whooped my ass because I was making fun of the Freedom Convoy. And yeah, this husky lady steps up and she's just like, freedom.
Oh yeah.
And he was like, well, sit the fuck down. And he's like, you're a white lady in Alberta. What the fuck kind of freedom you got? Like, did your husband not ask you to make dinner tonight? And it killed. It was so funny.
Oh my God. That it was incredible. The heckling thing. So like, we go and we watch you. And thanks again for driving us. That was very cool. My parents were like, we want to see Dex. But like, if you know anything about us, is like, we like to party. And my parents are like, so who's driving? I'm like, well, Dex was going to drive me. Like, I'm running support. He's not obviously going to enjoy himself in terms of libations. He's got to go perform. So like, I was kind of already shooting my shot. And they were like, well, great. Like, will he take us in? I'm like, well, Dex kind of has a lot on his plate. You know, like he's, but you were like, absolutely, like, hop in. And so you drove us all up there. But it was so funny to me. It was so funny to me. We were talking in the car about the show and how my dad was being very complimentary and being like, I'm proud of you, Dex. I can't believe you're going to go and put yourself out there. Like, you must have like a lot of confidence. Like, how tough is this going to be to just go and stand in front of all these people you don't know and just like tell your jokes? Like, good for you. It's really impressive. And then I think it came up in the car that's like, well, it is impressive. It is fantastic. But they do a lot. They tell us that it's going to be a safe space. They request that there's no heckling. And my dad has this like super disappointed look on his face. Like, he's literally like, oh, what? And I'm like, what do you mean, what? He's like, you can't heckle them? And like, before I could even like unpack that and like kind of like ask him another question, my mom's like, oh yeah, your dad's a heckler. And I'm like, wait, what? Like, hold on. You heckle? And dad just like smug grin is like, oh yeah, I heckle. Like, you don't want me at your comedy show. Like, I get him. And it was so funny to me that he like identifies as a heckler. Like, it's on his driver's license, you know, like he's just like Murray Hoover heckler. And it was so like, it kind of like an epiphany, you know, snapped in my head. I was like, oh my God, this explains so much. You know, like, my dad's just really good at yelling mean things at people. It's like my whole childhood was explained in like 10 seconds. You know, like I'm at the Pee Wee hockey game and the kids on my team on the bench are like, did your dad just call you a shit stain? And I'm like, he's a heckler. Don't worry, he identifies as a heckler. Yeah, it's just him.
It's a big part of who he is. You wouldn't get it.
You wouldn't get it. It's just who he is. But that was like, because after we watched you, and it was like a transcendent experience. I was so proud of you, and I was so amped. I know we both were, and I was like, I want to do this. We write jokes, we do jokes together. Like, I'm next. I'm gonna like sit and write some stuff down. And the whole next day, coming on the heels of your show, like, I wrote bits. Like, I was like barely doing my job because like everything that came up, you know, and like, we're very much, I wouldn't say observational humor. We like to draw from our own experiences,
Yep.
You know, because funny stuff happens to us. We're funny guys. We do shit, and like, we like to talk about it. And so I thought that was like a really hilarious thing that my dad was like, I identify as a heckler. I'm a big dog heckler. And so I wrote this bit about like how heckling's kind of a funny word, and it's like one social ranking above diddler. And like, what if we just like swap those around? It was like, my dad's gonna be like, oh man, I went to the club last night. I diddled so many amateurs. I diddled this one guy so hard he couldn't even finish his set, you know? And I was just like writing all this stuff down, and I went, and I thought it was so funny. I was actually busting myself up like in my car. I'm like, oh my God, I'm gonna kill. This is so great. And then I think it was Thursday night, we went golfing, had a couple drinks, and I told Megan, I was like, I've been writing jokes because we were talking about you and how well you did. She's like, okay, like, lay them on me. And I like, you know, it's kind of an awkward thing to like, you're not in front of a crowd. You're just like one person. So I'm like setting the stage, like imagine there's all these people.
I struggled, not to interrupt your story, but
No, please.
same idea. I struggled when we sat down on Sunday and I was trying to go through my joke with you. It was very awkward to say it just to you.
Yeah.
And you, I think a lot of jokes like what you just said kind of rely on the context of being on a stage in a comedy club with people
many
staring
people.
at you.
Yeah, with many
like
people
you're there to
around you.
perform, and when it's one-on-one, it's very different. Yeah, I will be honest, the most awkward and probably most nervous I was to do my jokes was when I was practicing them with you, and I was also doing them with Geese when we were online just chatting, and I was like, I don't even know how to position this. Anyway, continue. But I understand what you're saying.
Totally true. And I live that with my wife because I tell her these jokes, and these are jokes that like I'm not joking. I was dying. I'm like, this is the funniest thing. No one has written a joke this funny. Like this is my fish sticks. Like I'm never gonna work again. I'm gonna tell these jokes, and everyone's gonna be like, this guy, 33, hasn't been doing this live. And I bombed in front of my wife. She was like full of what do you mean diddler? Like you don't go talk about diddling, And I had another joke that like there was the necessity was a crowd, and like I'm like trying to like deliver it as I might, and she's just like I can see it on her face like.
It's an awkward position to put the other person into as well, right?
Oh, she's like trying to go to bed. She's like reading 50 Shades. I'm like, all right, put that shit down. I got jokes. You gotta listen to me.
How's everybody doing tonight? Hey,
yeah.
Don't forget to tip your waitress.
I did try. I was like, all right, we're at a club, right? Yeah, and so after that, I was like, you know what? It's kind of twofold for me. I got a lot of stuff going on. Like we're doing the show. I've got the fishing company, working full time. We got 2 kids. We're golfing. I'm like, I don't think I will pursue this. And I don't mean to say like on air, like, hey, I'm not actually going to do the next comedy show with you. I think I'm going to try and like write with you. I don't want to like be a support guy, but I actually right now in my life, I don't think you're going to see on Instagram posts of the other half of Rad Dads going up and doing live comedy. Not yet. Not now.
And that's fine. And you know what? Like, I genuinely think you're one of the funniest people that I know.
Thank you.
And that's why I want to do this podcast with you.
It's reciprocal. We feel that way about each other.
Yeah, and I think that's like maybe a little bit of our, like we do have some ego, but I think we're also very, we can be very self-conscious at the same time. And, for example, to go back to hanging out in Brooks, when we're all sitting around there and everybody's just telling, and it's the funniest thing and everybody's laughing, I am often sitting there like, I think I might be the least funny person in this room. And
you want to jump in, but then someone says something so funny,
you're just like, oh,
I'll take a back seat. Yeah.
That killed. Oh, Drew says a joke, and Joe says a joke, and then Brad says a joke, and Tom, and then Dan, and I'm just like, I'm not qualified to be here, right? So I think everybody is funny in like different ways. And
our crew rolls deep. That's kind of our thing. I think that's like we're this.
We do have a really good crew.
Giant group of betas with like, a deep and lengthy history. We all know each other so well. I always laugh when we were kids. I remember my parents and other people telling us like, hey, I actually think of a very specific conversation with a friend of my parents. And he's like asking me like, you got a lot of friends? And I was like, I have 9 best friends. And he's like, you don't have 9 best friends. And 14-year-old me, he's like, I have 9 best friends. We're all best friends. And he was like, well, let me tell you something. Okay, like you get older, you get my age, you're lucky to have one. And he like painted this really dark dystopian future out for me, being like, all these people you think you're friends, they all hate you secretly, and they're all shit. And like when you're older, you get like one friend. And I kind of like I took that to heart, and I was like, I wonder when this is gonna happen. Like when, and like relationships change. We always have like ebbs and flows in our group. People are closer at one point, and then like because of circumstance, living certain places or having kids, whatever it is, you kind of like your trinity changes. There's all these trinities within this group. But here we are, 33, and like we're hanging out with the graduating class of 08 every weekend. Like in a couple hours, like they're all over here. We're eating brisket
at my house,
and we're all telling jokes. Like we're bonded by humor. I think it's like a real thing.
My friend list, I should say my close friend list has not expanded like probably since grade 11. Like it's like I cut it off, and I've lived in many different cities, and I've made a lot of very good friends, lifelong friends in these other cities. But like nothing like, my close circle. Right. And it's funny that I've had so many opportunities to make new friends and stuff, and it's like, it's like that close circle's kind of full. You know, like I'm just like, no, the guy that I watched the Sheldon Kennedy story with in grade 3, I'm gonna keep him pretty close. That's
I remember like all these times throughout the history, like people trying to bring someone into the group. And then, like, you know, like bringing your new girlfriend around.
that's a hard one, right?
Oh my God. I think actually definitely made it hard. Like there's a lot of past girlfriends that are not around. And I think it was a mission of mine. Like, here's an apology. Yeah. Like there's definitely, obviously not going to name names, but like there was definitely some times where like Buddy would get a new girlfriend and be like, all right, you're going to meet my friends. They can be a lot. And like in the back of my head, I knew that like not only was I a lot, but I was going to be intentionally so.
Intentionally doing this.
You want to hang with us? I'm going to tell some bad jokes and I'm going to say some shit. And if you stick around long enough, you know, like you get to be in.
Like not even to name names again. Like let's not rehash this, but I did have.
But you want to. That's why. That's why you give the preface, because like it was her. It was fucking her, and she came and I said this, and I never fucking saw her again.
I had a girlfriend that genuinely tried to assault you.
Yes. Oh my God. That was, I remember like actually being told like a different perspective. Like I think you were kind of like, no, this, like she was going to get you. And I think in that moment I wasn't even aware of it, but I was just trying to like push the pace, like do as much as I could. And yeah, she got violent.
Yeah.
She was going to attack me. You just pull her off me. Yeah.
Yeah, that was wild. But to go back to you telling jokes to your wife and getting off of...
No, I love it though. I love it though, because it's like, this brings up so much. It brings up so much. I could talk about that forever, but yes, on track.
Getting back to you telling jokes to your wife, I feel like our wives are not the best audience all the time. Like, so some of Alicia's friends were like, oh, are you going to watch Dex? Like, you know, you getting a babysitter, you want somebody to watch the kids? She's like, no.
I fucking live with him. You think I'm gonna pay money to see him?
Fucking comedy show every day. I'm sick of it.
I get his jokes when I don't want them. I never want them.
And like, you know, I posted these bits and I was like, what did you think? She was like, they're right. And like, I'm just like, you know, but the crowd of strangers is like laughing, like genuinely laughing. And I'm getting people reaching out, like people that I haven't talked to in years, reaching out to me on Instagram. Like, you got to tell me when your next show is.
We'll be there. We'll show it. Yeah. It's July 22nd.
July 22nd.
Another plug. If you haven't gone and seen some of the clips, do follow us on Instagram. I paid that money to like boost that post, and you told me it was like futile. Like you're like, it's growing organically. People are watching and liking. You don't need to like advertise it. And I think like since I like boosted the post, like we've received like a single follow and an additional like.
But I don't know if you've noticed, it's been sent to a lot of people. It's been shared a lot.
Oh, I didn't notice that. Okay. Yeah. Maybe money well spent.
Maybe. Who knows? But anyway, it's just one of those things where like they get that show all the time. And it's just like, it also probably, you know, my wife was the subject of all of my jokes.
Oh, like, yeah, I didn't even think of that angle.
She was... And I wasn't making fun of her by any means. If anything, it was me self-deprecating and building her up for the purpose of the joke to make it funny. But she's like, like I'm the subject of the jokes, and like, you just, this is the same thing I deal with every fucking day.
This is breakfast.
She's just like, I got the kids to bed at a good time, and I got to read my book.
Yeah, so not a great audience. Maybe I'll try. Maybe I'll work some of my stuff with you, or if I get a chance. Because I had the exact same experience.
But some of the funniest people are writers. Like, they're also successful stand-ups in their own right. But like Anthony Jeselnik does a ton of writing for other comedians. He is one of my favorite comedians.
Well, that's why I said John Mulaney. I was not aware of John Mulaney until like you see him and he's out and he's doing his thing, and then you're like, oh my God, no, John Mulaney was like, he was the engine of SNL when I enjoyed it. Like all those characters, because SNL is again. Hit or miss. I was gonna say again, ebbs and flows, but like there was definitely a time when like Bill Hader was on, and like it was must see TV.
John Mulaney wrote all of Bill Hader's like Stefan bits.
Yeah.
And if you like ever watch a YouTube interview of Bill Hader and he like talking about when he would just break down as Stefan, it's because John Mulaney would like kind of write the outline, but he would insert jokes after the fact. So the first time Bill Hader was reading them was on the cue card while he's like doing it live. And that's why he would break down and
Get the hands over the face. Just in case you can't lose character.
And John Mulaney would just write the funny, like just, and it became kind of formulaic with the Stefan thing. It's like, well, what's going on this weekend? And then he's like, there's a club on the east side of New York where only midgets are allowed in. And if you're a full-size person, you got to crawl through a doggy door in the back. It's like, you know, whatever. Like, I don't know if that's an actual bit, but that's, and it just cracks and it just drags on and it gets more and more ridiculous. And that's John Mulaney.
Yeah. So I think that I want to be John right now. I wonder how that'll go, though. That actually brings up an interesting discussion. You know, our humor is so synchronized, and in fact, we see this with our algorithms. I think it's math in one sense that we're just sending each other so many things. But I don't know how many times in the week, and we have talked about this, that like I go to send you something, and like it'll show up on my phone, like Dex is typing, and you send it to me.
Yeah, like we're looking at the same thing at the same time.
We've completely synced up. But I wonder what it would be like to try and deliver a joke that was like, I think this would be funny.
Well, okay, so let's go back to last Sunday when I was sitting going through my bit, and I was going through it, and you interjected at one point, and you're like, it would be so funny if this, or like when you did this, you know, this is kind of the next step to that. And I'm like, that's literally the next sentence of my joke. So like,
yeah,
you know, we were so on the same page and we both came to the same realization at the same time, and we would have put it in the same spot. Like we were just so synced up.
When it reinforces it though, you're like, okay, well then I'm on the right path.
Exactly. I was like, okay, so if Drew thinks that's funny and that's what he thought, and I've got that written down, like not exactly in the same words, but same kind of concept.
Yeah, that's fair.
And I think the other thing that was funny is like, we were actually sitting with your parents afterwards, and they were like, well, what was the original joke going to be? And I'm not going to tell it here because I want to save it maybe for like another day.
Well, I think it's
a good joke in its own right.
It's a good joke. It comes out live. Like,
but I was kind of telling them the joke, and I sort of said that bit, and your dad just like pointed at me, and he's like, "That's exactly what I was thinking." And that's kind of like comedy, right? You wanna say something that's funny, but you want everybody to be like, "Oh yeah, like I'm thinking the same thing about that as well." And so. You know, like when I did the boudoir shoot part, I think one of the biggest laughs that I got early was like, how does a man fit into a couple's boudoir shoot? And then, you know, there's like, you know, my wife's looking good. She's in her lingerie, and then a little pause. And I was like, and then there's me. And like that little bit there was probably one of the biggest laughs, because people were like, yeah, this fat fucking idiot, like what, I don't want to see him in a boudoir shoot, like no.
Well, I think I was like, that was another personal experience of ours. That was at Shano's wedding, their wedding photographer. He was a bro, he's a cool dude. He kind of like hung around for a bit, and we were shooting the shit with him. And I don't know if you were in on the conversation, you must have been, but he was telling us, you know, we're like, man, you do good work, like you get everyone on where they're supposed to be and involved and excited to do, because like wedding photos are the fucking worst, honestly, they are. And I remember at your wedding, your photographer hated us. She was like I'm honestly gonna walk off the job if you can't like wrangle your dudes. They're ruining this. They're ruining this.
It didn't help that we were all golfing and drinking before we.
Oh yeah. Shout out Cortez. She's a squirter. But it was just one of those things where like he did a really good job, and so we were like kind of chat with him after, and we're like, so you do a lot of weddings? And he's like, actually I do a lot of like boudoir shoots. And we're like, oh, sexy, cool. Like what's that like? And it came up in conversation. He's like, we've actually been kind of like branching out into dudoir. And we're like, stop, pause, what? What's a dudoir? And that was the conversation. It was just like I don't want to, like I'm supposed to go to we have our day is so busy today. I'm supposed to like, I'm here, I leave here, and I come back here, and in between we're supposed to stop over at my new neighbor's house. They've got a pool, and they're doing like a little bit of a shindig, so we're gonna bring the girls over for a swim. And like my first thought's like, I don't want to take my shirt off in front of all these fucking new people, you know, like
let alone have them take photos of it.
Yeah, I'm gonna show up with like lumberjack themed boxers and an axe over my shoulder. I'm like, who are these photos for? And then like, they're not for me, and they're certainly not for my fucking wife. No. Like she's not gonna like be like, oh, like you know what's gonna get me in the mood? Like looking at pictures of Drew.
Oh yeah. If I handed my wife like a photo album and I'm like, I've done something for you, and she opens it up and just like, she wouldn't even get it fully open. She would like just get it open and just see like my thigh and just be like, no. And she would like Steph Curry, like beyond the arc, and she would just hit the fireplace from like wherever she is in the house.
No
like,
one ever needs to see this. Give me the information of the photographer so I can get the like original the negatives destroyed. This is an evil.
I'm actually going to get his business license taken away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh man. Well, dude, like one last time, lots of love in this show, lots of kudos, lots of love, but that's kind of like, it's very gratifying, and it speaks volumes to like what that experience was for you and for us. Like, congrats again. I think we're onto something, and I very much look forward to the next live show. And I know that ours is coming up, and that'll be another great opportunity, especially because now people are like, oh, I want to see Dex. And we got Natural Ensemble playing, we got Ben Marsh playing, and it's all for charity. Lots of local businesses involved. Definitely come to that show. But I think that this is now a thing where like, we'll go to these nights, we'll go to these open mic nights. I had a great time.
It was super fun.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. It was something, you find something new. You're like, I didn't know this was a thing. You can just like show up to these spots on a Wednesday. And it's very organized. Like, you go in, you get your drinks, you get your food, and then like you get your openers, you get your like main act funny guy, and like we were out of there by 10.
Yep.
Yeah. Totally doable.
It was a good time. And I remember, when Alicia and I were younger, like still just university or just post-university, we actually went to a few comedy shows, and I always enjoyed it, and it's kind of been a shame that I haven't gone to more. I remember, the last time I was at the Laugh Shop, it had to be like 8 or 9 years ago, and I saw John Doerr, like super funny Canadian comedian, and opening for him was Steve Hofstetter, who's like a professional touring comedian. I had never heard of him up to that point, and he killed it. He's probably one of the funniest comedians I've ever had the chance to see live. And so I think the takeaway for me, like even the guy that opened for Andy Haynes, I thought he was very funny. He had some good jokes, and I was like, I never would have heard of this guy or seen this guy if I hadn't been there that night. And, same thing with Steve Hofstetter. And it's fun to go and laugh, and it's such a fun environment. Yeah.
Yeah, highly recommend. I feel like we should do a top 10, like who you should check out, but we kind of did. Listen to the episode twice. We're like, yeah. I like Shane Gillis. He's very offside.
Yeah. Okay, here's the thing that I always think about, and I don't want to let the episode run too long, but I always feel like I'm a huge comedy fan. Like if a new special comes out on Netflix, I'm watching it. I remember as a kid watching Just for Laughs on CBC all the time. Like I've always loved comedy, but I think I have two very different stages where there was like my early comedy years, let's say high school, where, Dane Cook was the shit.
So brutal.
You know what? Like you go back and you're like, Dane Cook, he's
hindsight's 2020.
Hindsight's 2020. But at the same time, like he built up a love for comedy in me. And of course, since then I still think Dane Cook's funny, though. I think he has some underrated stuff, but I think
you are a huge current day Dane Cook fan. I know.
Yeah. I follow him on Instagram. He's touring right now, actually. But he has some funny stuff. But
he's almost janitor. What do you mean he's touring?
He's almost one of those guys that got too big and got like hated on a lot. Sometimes maybe for no reason, or like maybe undeserved.
Kind of the Nickelback of comedy.
Exactly, Nickelback vibes.
Get out of my head.
Yeah, we're the same person. But then like I think about university. I got into like Joe Rogan, his comedy albums, right? Before he was huge, and his albums are super funny. Some of those early ones, like Talking Monkeys in Space and stuff. And then now is like the golden age of comedy. Back then you had to go seek out their album, and like really there was only big comedians that were actually making money. And now you can go on Instagram, or you can go on YouTube. Netflix is producing like tons of comedy specials. Feels like there's a new one every day.
Every platform is kind of like has it up that. You're absolutely right.
Yeah.
I think like it was pretty niche for us back in the day. I do remember like on iTunes spending $9.99 on Mitch Hedberg albums. And
Mitch Hedberg, shout out.
Yeah, rip him and Elizabeth May. I hope they're doing well. Souls we lost. And Dimitri Martin.
Yeah.
You know, like, but it was a barrier there. You know, we weren't going on YouTube. I totally agree. Now you're just like, I want to watch funny shit. I got it. It's
Go on
available.
YouTube and they've got recommendations lined up for you.
Yeah.
Comedian, and I think the first person that like kind of broke that barrier was Bo Burnham. Remember when he was doing those songs in his like bedroom?
Oh, I used to watch the shit out of those, man.
And he's still doing it, and he's so funny. Oh, I love Bo Burnham. I still love Bo Burnham, but
yeah, he's but that's one of those ones where like, you know, it's like your favorite band and they're still doing stuff and you're like, these new albums, man, and they are good. All his specials are fantastic, especially when you like, he's a second watch guy for me. Like there's tons of laughs, but you watch and like not specifically the production value, but just the effort he goes to. Like he is putting all of himself into these specials. His
Make Happy special, I will still go back and listen to his country song. And the very end when he does like the Kanye West style rant, like I don't think I can handle this, and he's like talking about the burrito. And actually, we were in Medicine Hat, and Alicia like, she's like, "What do you want for lunch?" I was like, "I want a burrito," and she's like, "Will you go get it?" I was like, "I'm gonna go walk the dog. You go get me a burrito." And usually, like the roles are flipped. I'm the experienced burrito eater, and I'm ordering the burritos. And so she goes in and she comes back with this burrito that's just bursting at the seams. And I'm just like, just trying to like, and she's like, got a fork for her bowl that she got. I was like, I'll blow my dad before I eat a burrito with a fork, which is like a line from Bo Burnham's. And she's like, what? And I was like, I probably should have said that without context, but it's just like those kind of things stick with you.
Yeah. But I absolutely would. No, I go back, like I still watch his like original when he's a kid. Honestly, he's like 16 on his fucking piano.
Yeah. And
he's just writing these hilarious songs, like rapping into a girl's vagina with the light shining in his face. Do you remember that fucking video?
Yeah.
It's like that. That's the stones to go put that online and be like, I think that's funny about that is like we're in this comfy space now where we have decided that like we believe in ourselves and we're reputable adults, you know. Perhaps at times we walk a line. We are very cognizant of like what we say and how we say it because you have to be. That's the day and age we live in. But to be 16 years old and be like, I'm going to put this on the internet forever and I'll never have a desk job.
He committed to that.
There's not a possibility I go for an interview and they're like, well, we searched you on YouTube.
We looked up your name.
Yeah. All right. Thanks for your time.
We got some comments.
Man, fantastic episode.
Yeah. Well, appreciate everybody's support. Check out our Instagram. We'll see you on July 22nd at Big Beaver.
Yeah, absolutely. On that note, you know, we've got silent auction, lots of cool items, lots of people showing out to do the thing for charity. It's going to be busy. You know, I actually said to Brad the other day, he was like, well, I'll see you guys at your shows. Like, if you get in. And he was like, what the fuck? And I do think now maybe I should have dialed that back. I don't know why I said that to him. But yeah, there is certainly
I mean, Big Beaver's busy on a Saturday night.
There will be people there that don't even know that this is happening.
They're gonna be non-consensually involved in the red.
Yeah, we got to get that poster going. We got to get that out.
I gotta get that ready.
But yeah, it'll be a busy night. Try and show up early. I think our sponsors, I have to chat with them. Not the sponsors, but Big Beaver, and get those tables reserved. So like even seating will be limited. So yeah, put it in your calendars. Get there early, and thank you so much for listening.
Have a great one.
Bye.
Tune in to the next episode as the Rad Dads break down barriers and record the first of many episodes from Dex's shallow ensuite bathtub. It'll be a wet and wild adventure.